Zelra Larson playing at GTFM and Lush Life at 11:45. Joined this morning by my very special guest, Tom David. Hello again, Tom. Let's go back then, shall we, to that try. It's January the 27th, 1973, and it's been voted over and over and over again probably the greatest try ever scored. That must give you a fantastic feeling.
Well, it does, as I explained, this try is shown so many times, they still think I'm still playing. It is embarrassing when I see people on the road. No, it's one of these incredible things that made my rugby career. I've always enjoyed myself. But I don't think a lot of people understand this, but on the Tuesday before the New Zealand game for the Barbarians, I wasn't in the original team or squad. Carwyn James, the unofficial coach from Lechley, he was the Barbarian coach. On the Tuesday before the game, Andy Ripley, the England number 8, dropped out through injury. So he asked me would I be on the sub spot. Absolutely delighted. Cut long story short, on the morning of the game then, God love him, he's passed away now, Mervyn Davies, Swerve, that wonderful player, great guy, he obviously dropped out with flu. So I was in the biggest game of my life, and the rest is history.
So Phil Bennett, he dances around the field, the All Black stat going everywhere, and then it sort of builds then with obviously JPR nearly having his head knocked off, and John Pullen, the only
English guy
in amongst all the Welsh players. The clever dummy from John Dawes, of course. but you see, when you look at what you did, drawing in, 2 or 3 All Blacks, they weren't sure what you were going to do. They got this big guy coming towards them, which created the space for Quinnell to do his little bit of an outside half, did well. And then, of course, the pass, I think, was going to Bevan, but, of course, Gareth cut in, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, when I passed him and all that, people said, why do I? From my point of view, sheer fright. I couldn't wait to get into the ball, But no, it is fascinating, to be honest, when you look back at the try, and obviously Phil Bennett's magnificent 3 side steps created it all, and all obviously, and the rest were all links, But when you look at the contribution of obviously Gareth Edwards and Phil Bennett, they were the main two. We were just in the way and all. And the obvious thing is he's Sir Gareth Edwards now, because he scored that try.
Yeah.
As I said, if I dummied Derek Quinnell and scored, perhaps I'd be Sir Tom David now, not boring bloody Tom.
Oh dear. So that was 73. Wonderful memories, of course, for everybody concerned. And then, of course, you went on the Lions tour to South Africa in 74. 9 games.
Yeah, I was absolutely thrilled, as you can imagine. When I had the call to say I was on the Lions tour, it was like double somersaults, and obviously at the end of the story is we were away for just under 3 months. We played 22 games, unbeaten. I played the first 3 games on the Lions tour, which was very unusual. I pulled a hamstring. I missed the next 5, which is depressing at the time. But obviously went on to play 9 games and I scored 5 tries, But when I look back, when people say to me, look, I would love to play for the Test side, but the bottom line is I was part of history again, unbeaten tour, and I came back an alcoholic. But I enjoyed myself with the occasional game of rugby.
Yeah.
Great friendships created.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So when you think of Ponty and rugby from the 70s, people think of the Ponty pool front row, of course, with Price, Windsor and Faulkner. But of course, Ponty back row, people automatically think of Ponty Praeve and Chris Selden.
Yeah.
Mikey Shellard.
Mikey Shellard, absolutely.
A legend. And of course yourself.
Chris Selden is a magnificent player like Mike Shellard, he's a very, very good player, Chris. And short fuse, mind you, but what a player, I'll tell you what. Mike Shellard, as I explained, it was a bit of fun. 400 odd games, 171 tries. I made 1 tackle. And they done all the tackling for me. I kept saying, give me the ball. But a great back row, and it's just always a pleasure to see Chris Selden and Mike Shellard occasionally, all that, and we relive the memories. Those are the days.
And of course, Mike's son Reece done well.
Yeah, fantastic player for Pontypridd and all that. It's one of these things. I enjoy watching Pontypridd. I don't watch them so often now because I'm involved as president of the Ridvan Rugby Club, and that is grassroots, and I enjoy that more than watching Pontypridd at the moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you had a good backup with Robin Morgan, the scrum half.
Scrum half, yeah.
Stuart Lewis,
Stuart
Boy.
Lewis, yeah.
And of course, you reached the cup final. Steve Fenwick, very, very close friend of yours. Of course, he played for Bridgend in the cup final. And I remember interviewing Steve a few years back, and he was concussed in that game, wasn't he? He went off quite early.
Yeah, he was. He didn't go off early enough because I think he scored a try and all that. But obviously a great friend. I was in business with him at the time, you know, and so the rivalry was right up there. Obviously, two obviously business partners playing against each other, you know. But on the day, I mean, Bridgend just shaded and all that. But that was the great thing. It was a magnificent crowd there, and like whenever you played in those days of rugby, there was huge crowds all the time, you know. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier, you know, when like Pontypridd, as example, played against Pontypool. I can always remember we went up there, it's a typical Friday night, and it's raining. And of course, I was in the change room before the game now, and Terry Cobbiner was the captain of Pontypool. And of course, the referee flipped the coin, and he said heads or tails. I said heads, and apparently heads came up. And Terry Cobbiner turned to me. He said, "That's the only thing you're going to win tonight." And he was right. He was right. Pontypool away. Harvesting machine. He'd never went on the floor twice to that team, trust me.
No, Prosser made sure of that, didn't he?
Yeah, Ray Prosser, yeah.
Great stuff. Then, of course, Rugby League followed, the Cardiff Blue Dragons. Of course, Steve joined you there. Good times?
Yeah, I mean, I joined. There was Brynmo Williams, Steve Fenwick and all that, and it was just great. Look, I'd been very serious. There was some serious money, which people forget. That's the reason I signed. But I had 3 great seasons with Cardiff City Blue Dragons. I played 85 games. I scored 59 tries.
Ooh,
at the end of the day, and all that, it's one of these things I really enjoyed. In my career, I turned down some very, very impressive offers from Wigan, St Helens and Leeds, because I had no intention of moving away. But Cardiff City Blue Dragons came at the right time at the end of my career, and I put my family first, because you got to understand, Gareth, it was all amateur. You only just claimed basic expenses.
Yeah, and of course you won 2 Welsh caps as well in rugby league.
Yeah, I say Australia and England, yeah, and
they don't get much tougher, do they?
No, but it's like most things, you know. The friendships you get and all that. But Australia was tough because they were the world champions then at the time, I believe, you know. But it's like most things, skill, and the sad thing for me to look at rugby now, there's more rugby played in rugby league than rugby union, and the guys that play for rugby union put their bodies on the line, all that, but the game is what it is.
So I got a question that's come in from Andrew Pittham from Merthyr Tydfil. Wayne Pivot, of course, takes over from Warren Gatland next year, and Andrew was asking, what's he going to bring to the Welsh squad after next year's World Cup?
Well, the one thing with any coach is, look, they all do a fantastic job. You're the best coach in the world when you win. I've always been very critical. It's all about players rather than coaches. The coaches, like Karen James said to us before the New Zealand game, you know, he's there to organise you. But if you haven't got the ability and the talent to create the opportunities, you know, you don't want to go anywhere. But, you know, Wales got a great chance. I got to be honest, I'm red through and through. And as somebody said to me the other day, do you think we'll win the World Cup? And I said, of course we will. Because you've got to believe that we're going out to the World Cup to win. Not saying ifs, buts, and all. What about New Zealand or South Africa or Argentina or Australia? No, we're the top team. Obviously, we understand the reality, but we've got to go there to win.
Right, okay. So I think that answers Andrew's question. Now, of course, you are involved with Redeveloping Rugby Club. How are things going across the road there?
Yeah, I'm thrilled and delighted to be involved as president of Redeveloping Rugby Club. I got so many friends there and all that. Richard Holland, who obviously runs the club, he's basically a top bloke, and he creates so many opportunities for people there. He's just a pleasure to go there. I mean, I'm just thrilled to be involved, and certainly I love watching Redeveloping. You know, they done fairly poorly last week, losing 51-0 to Stradronda. You know, but it's a one-off day, but that's typical of rugby, you know. One great thing is the friendship and the atmosphere in Redeveloping is spot on. And the one thing I realised, when I retired from rugby, I understood, it took me a long time, all the wonderful work that Pontypridd done for me, and likewise with Redeveloping. Now I'm president, I see all the hard work that people that run the club, and they really are, because they got families, they got jobs, and obviously this is a bit of fun, but they work so hard and all that. And the great thing about Redeveloping, the atmosphere there, they just had an extension, cost a lot of money, but it's brilliant upstairs. The atmosphere there, we had Sir Gareth Edwards there a couple of weeks ago speaking. This Friday we got Owen Money there and the club have created all these opportunities by getting these people there. And the wonderful thing is people looking forward now to going to Redeveloping, irrespective of events. But if you ever want a good night out, come to Redeveloping Rugby Club.
Tommy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck with everything that you do. Do come back in, and we could talk for hours about rugby, couldn't we? You certainly could.
Well, as you get older, Gareth, you get better now, because we never miss tackles now. We always make the right decisions. But the one thing I will repeat myself, I admire what Rydvelyn are doing. Everybody works so hard. And the one thing I'll always remind people, when I brought a book out many years ago, the journalist said to me, "What do you take out of the game of rugby?" I said, "Been very lucky." And you know what? I said, "I've made enough friends to last a lifetime." Hopefully, Gareth, I got a friend of you as well.
Absolutely. And we'll shake on that, Tom, right here and right now.
Deal.
Tommy Davis, you make sure you come back, Tom, and you're always welcome back at GTFM. Thanks for coming in.
Absolute pleasure.